Lam. And I was just sitting here asking my friends, when did we start this Lam? And somebody said 2010 in October, something like that. November 2010. Wow, 12 years ago. And part of my idea with teaching this Lam was that it would take 20 years. And for me, if I can get an injection of Lam every 6 months or 8 months, then it keeps me on track. And so Lam is a very good foundation for your whole life. And if you have a teacher who's crazy and wants to teach it to you for 20 years, and if you're both about the same age, then it'll probably work. And I think it's a great comfort for me. I had this Lam for 30 years from my teacher. And it was a great comfort to have it a couple times a year, and it kept me grounded. It kept me on track, you know. And if you, I don't know if it happens to you, but it happens to me that I sit down to meditate. I go through the preliminaries, and then I'm like, I don't know what to do, you know. I don't know what to meditate about. Sometimes I forget. Yeah, I don't really have something pressing to meditate about. And then you can just go to the Lam. Okay, so if you get an injection of Lam a couple times a year, I think it's a wonderful thing. And you always have something to work on. You always have something to meditate on. There's gonna come a part this session, where he says a funny thing. He says we fear Lam meditations worse than death. And so I was like, wow, what's that? What's he trying to say, you know? And he said, we all like the sexy emptiness meditations or Mahamudra meditations, or we like to go to deeper meditations and deeper books like Wordsmith's Mind Only book. We like those deeper books, you know. And then somebody says, well, why don't you do some Lam meditation? Am I pausing for translation, Tim? Deep breath. I could feel the tension. Yeah. Yeah, we tend to think, oh, I'd like to focus on those really deep meditations that we're getting in the mixed nuts or something like that. But every month or so, go back to the Lam and go back to where you are in the Lam, and you certainly have a steady stream of Lam for the last how many years? 12 years. Yeah, and we'll be going for another 10 years or something, inshallah. So you know, go back and touchstone. Use the Lam as a touchstone, and it'll always ground you. It'll always give you a guide for the rest for your life. It'll always give you some kind of orientation for your whole life, and you'll have structure for your whole life, a spiritual structure for your whole life. So I really encourage you to just check in with the Lam. I guess we'll do it twice a year. I've been doing special programs like Medicine Buddha and what's the other one? Nagarjuna. And we'll keep doing that. But I'll keep forcing it back to Lam. You know, the students are all like, we want more emptiness. We want more Tantra with Medicine Buddha. And I'm going to force it back to Lam a couple times a year. Okay, so here we go. This is a record of a teaching on the steps of the path to enlightenment by Kyabje Pabonko Rinpoche. And he was the teacher of my teacher and the teacher of my teacher's teacher. So my teacher's teacher was Trijang Rinpoche, who's the junior tutor of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And he was the greatest teacher of his time. and his teacher was the greatest teacher of his time. And then Trijang Rinpoche, I don't remember how old he was at this time. He was in his 20s, and he did the transcription of this 24 days of talks, 24 days of public talks, and he wrote it out, and it took him about over 10 years and he perfected the Tibetan. The Tibetan is I would say it's the best book ever written in Tibetan. And now that Tibetan is being lost, the language is being lost, probably it's the greatest book that will ever be written in Tibetan. So Tsongkhapa, of course, is a great master, but this particular book, linguistically, is the greatest example of Tibetan ever written, I think. And someone once asked me what was the greatest book I ever read, and I said, this is the most helpful book I ever read. And I'm a book addict, and my wife accuses me of that. She said if it was between me and your books, I'm not sure which one you would choose. And but I love books, and I've read, many, probably a couple thousand in Tibetan, and this is the greatest. When we started 12 years ago, I taught the last two sections first, which was shamatha and vipassana. So we did it backwards. We went first through how to meditate, and then we went through emptiness, and then we went back to the beginning of the book. And the purpose of that was that classically, you're supposed to meditate on these topics as you go through them. So this is supposed to be a nyamchi, which means experiential teaching. You're supposed to learn the topic and then go to Diamond Mountain Retreat Center, the best one in the universe. And don't hit my bald head. And you're supposed to meditate on it. You're supposed to go to your retreat cabin and meditate on it. And we felt that when we were preparing this retreat a few months ago, it looked like the world wasn't quite ready with the virus yet. But I think, like in our state, they dropped all restrictions 2 days ago. And I think we'll be back for regular retreats, unless something weird happens. What's the next one, Tim? In the fall, October? Yeah, we'll be back here. You're very welcome to come. If they put you in quarantine, you can do that here also. And you just have a longer retreat. So I think Tim and the whole staff, Venerable Sinam, we would like to open it up again in the fall. So we did shamatha and vipassana, and then we went back to the normal lamrim. And the goal, there's an interesting thing about this lamrim, which is a presentation of all the steps to enlightenment. The part about meditation and emptiness is relatively short. And the reason, I'm sure, is that in Tsongkhapa's 1,000-page great book on the steps of the path, half of it is devoted to emptiness. 500 pages are roughly devoted to emptiness and meditation. So I thought it'd be sexy to do the short meditation and emptiness from this one first, then go through the whole Lamrim, and then go do the long one of Tsongkhapa, which would take 6 or 7 years or something. So that's the master plan. And we're on schedule. We're doing fine. We are about 80% done with the first book. So we're doing well. I think within 2 years we can finish the first book. And then we'll switch over to Tsongkhapa. And that's going to be a lot. Okay. Yeah. That'll be 220 pages from Tsongkhapa, which is 440, which is, we do about 8 pages a day, so call it, 8 pages a session. So that's 50 sessions, something like that. Okay. So pray for long lives. Okay. All right. This first class, and Tim, I should stop at 10 to 7, right? Or yeah? Okay. Am I supposed to do Q&A? No, later. We do that later. Okay. All right, good. I thought the first class I would catch you up to where we are, because I forget everything where we are between sessions, and I suppose you do too. So here's where we are. Okay, there are 3 great sections to the Lam Rim. First, Kebu Chung, Kebu Ding, Kebu Chimbo, which means people of lower capacity, medium capacity, and higher capacity. And teachings on people for lower capacity mainly are meant to keep you out of the lower realms. So after you pass away, not to go to the hell realms or the animal realms, the Preta realms. And we finished that section. The second great section, Kibuding, is how to stay out of samsara in general. So even a human rebirth, even a deva rebirth, is so full of suffering, that and inevitable suffering. You don't have to have a war to kill people. They kill themselves quite well. So the body kills itself. You don't have to be in a car accident, or you will get old and you'll fall apart. And it's a lot of fun. I spent 2 days at doctors, the last 2 days, and they're poking, prodding. This is just maintenance. Like, I'm really careful to do my maintenance, and I really do go twice a year. They do everything, and even if you do your maintenance, you do your yoga, you do your exercise, and I'm good at that, and I eat fairly carefully, and still it's gonna fall apart. So you just have to. That's a kind of suffering, and the middle section of the Lam Rim is to go beyond that suffering, because inevitably you will fall apart. You can exercise, you can eat well, you can go to the doctors for maintenance, mileage checkups, but there's only so much you can do. It's still going to fall apart. Okay, so we've reached the third great section of the Lam Rim, Kebu Chimbo, which means I would like to meet all the people in this universe directly, one by one, and human or otherwise. And I would like to commit to serve them and help them. And in time, I would like to learn how to save them, teach them the Lam Rim, teach them to get out of this kind of body and this kind of existence. I would like to do that, and it's a grand motivation, and you should go back to it once in a while. And a real experience of bodhicitta, if you're an Arya, is that you actually meet each living being in the universe, even before you become enlightened, and you meet each one directly, and you have a few minutes with them, and you commit to help them. And it's very touching, right? Of course, all the fish, all the birds, all the viruses, I guess. You meet each one, and you kind of have a strong connection with them. You make a strong connection with them, and you make a commitment to them. And that's a wonderful experience. Like, that itself, if that's the only thing you did with the whole Lam Rim in your life, that would be, you can't imagine how that would change your life, or how that would change your motivations, or how that would change your feeling about yourself, or your feeling about what I have to do in this world. If you had that experience, I call it planet jumping. You kind of go to the planets are infinite. The beings are infinite. In theory, if they're coming from you, you can still meet each one and you can finish them and come back. If they're coming from you, you can meet them all. And you do. And it's quite a game changer, right? Changes your whole life. And then you can't really be sad or you can have bad days. Like the coffee can be cold. It's not, by the way. You can have bad days and you can have sad days, but you can't really have a terrible day because you had this experience. And so I strongly urge you to try to have that experience. And the teaching this time is about how to do that. So coincidentally, you're here for the big one. And this particular session, these, how many days? 8 days or something. It's all 7 days. It's all focused on having that experience. How do you trigger that experience? And wouldn't that be wonderful? I mean, wouldn't that be the best thing that ever happened to you? And there is probably nothing sweeter than that, than to see it, except for seeing emptiness directly. But you can do them at the same time, almost. So here's a review of where we are in the task of trying to have that direct experience of bodhicitta. You can have other experiences of bodhicitta earlier, but they are more intellectual or like that. They're not the real one. Okay, they're called sugarcane, which means approximate. You get the taste of the outside of the sugarcane. The what do you call it? The peel. You taste the peel, but not the center. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna start reading a little bit of a review. Okay. So this third grade section of the Lam Rim that we're in, I will slow down translators, which is about the path, the steps on the path for those people who choose to work for all living beings. Okay? Take Chengi Jugo Semge Konatemba. We went through sections where we said the only way to enter that level is to get bodhicitta. And we'll talk about bodhicitta. We'll talk about what it means, okay? Penyin da chepa. Penyin means specific benefits. Cool things that will happen to you if you do have this experience. Okay? Other cool things that will happen to you. And then we're going to have a section on how to make it happen. So it's a typical car salesman thing. They tell you how great the car is, and then they tell you how you can buy it. I've been trying to buy a car for Veronica, and oh my God, the whole thing switched. The car salesman used to beg you they used to kiss your feet, and it went better from there. And now they're like, what do you want? And I'm like, new cars. Forget it, go home. I'll let you know if there's a car. It's unbelievable for a person who's lived for this many years in this world. And it used to be the only people who respected everybody was the car salesman. But forget that. They're like, give me $1,000. I might keep a car for you. Anyway, we're doing a sales job here also. Okay. First, we tell you how beautiful the car is. Like, hey, you could jump from planet to planet. And then we tell you how to get the car. Okay. We might make it on the 31st of March. We might deliver it in 2 to 3 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks, or maybe not at all. That's how it went. That's really how it went. So, and it's a weird color, but it's the only one available in northern Arizona. Okay. Chachu de semkebito, semkene chibala lotsolo. And then once you have that experience and you commit yourself to taking care of each of those beings you met, which is the deal you made with them when you met them. And I don't know why, it's just a natural thing. When you meet them, you make a deal with each one. And you say, don't worry, I'm on it. I'm taking care of it. You know, it's like Tim takes care of all the long stuff. And so how do you carry out that deal? How do you keep your part of the agreement? And that's the 6 perfections. Okay, so we'll get to those later. But we're not quite done with how to get bodhicitta. Mm-hmm. By the way, bodhicitta has been translated as enlightenment mind. It's a bad translation, as so many translations are. It just means the wish to get enlightened, to help other people. That's all. It doesn't have to do with being enlightened. You're not enlightened. You're committing to get enlightened. So it cannot be enlightened. It's a bad translation. Okay. All right. The first section, as I said, was the sales job. And I thought I would go through the sales job as a review. Okay. So we'll just take a few minutes and we'll go through the sales job. Okay. Jusu Simgya Kase Da Minre to some Jimbe Kyang Chamba Yid Sam Tanchi Di Sinandala Chami Put. Here's a famous verse about the cool things that are going to happen to you if you can get to bodhicitta. Okay, here's a famous sales pitch about your new car. Your car's working okay, right? So far. Wait till you hit a rock at Diamond Mountain. Okay. All right. Tim, first image, if you can. Yeah. You are beloved and protected. So I'm going to give you about 150 images. We call them idea images, Idim. And can you guys see them? Yeah. I give you these images as a self-testing method. Okay. So between the end of class today and the beginning of class tomorrow, you should be able to look at, it's going to be about 8 to 10 images for this whole class. And I want you to be able to self-test yourself. And that's a nice way to review. Okay. You don't have to remember all the details. Just remember the picture. Okay. If you remember what the picture is about, then you succeeded in your review. And you should look at the pictures by tomorrow. Okay. Again, at home. So let's bring it up again, Tim. If you, I know you're having a. Okay, good. This is the first advertised benefit of getting to bodhicitta. And it's that you will be beloved and protected by enlightened beings. Okay. Well, Geshe-la, I'm already beloved and protected by enlightened beings. Yeah, but specially beloved and protected. Okay. So if you made this commitment to help all beings, then your dad and mom, which is all the Buddhas of the universe, of course they have equal love for all beings, but they feel special about you because you're kind of like the good daughter or the good son who's gonna help the family, help carry on the family thing. So they feel especially close to you. Okay? That's the first one. And other beings, and they list specifically powerful spirit beings and even other human beings will be they'll be attracted to helping you achieve your goals, and they don't know why. Like the people around you will smell something about you. I did take a shower this morning, but they will smell. It's cold in 4:30. Anyway, you will. People can sense what you're up to. Okay, they don't know directly. They don't know you. They don't know what you're doing. They meet you in the grocery store. and they get a feeling about you, and they serve you, and they help you do the things you want to do to help people. So it's a nice feeling. You feel very protected, and you feel very nurtured by other people because they smell something about your ultimate goals, and they want to help you, and it's a nice experience. People are constantly trying to help you get things done, and do what you have to do, and throwing money at you to do your projects, and it's weird, and they sense that something's going on, and so it's a very beautiful feeling of being supported. Okay, so that's the first selling point. In general, you will get a lot of support from the universe because of what you're trying to do, and the universe will know, even if they don't know exactly what's going on. Okay, even people you never met will take care of you, and they will. Sungwa means they will protect you from negative events, negative people, negative experiences. People will be constantly trying to make sure that nothing happens to you. And it's a nice feeling. And it kind of, if you're on this mission to help all living beings, you attract support and you attract protection. Okay, just automatically. And your life is pretty cool. Okay. All right, second picture here. Yeah, and I have this stock photo agency called 123RF. I don't get a commission. I pay them $158 a month just because I love their pictures. They're always positive. They're always friendly. This particular, the second benefit of getting bodhicitta or trying to get bodhicitta is that you'll just be happy all the time. Okay? So you always it doesn't mean you can't be grumpy if you have to get up early. I got it, Tim. You could still be grumpy in the morning at Diamond Mountain, but in general, you feel really happy. And you notice it, like your friends are all having a bad day, and they're like, I'm having a bad day, and you're like, yeah, I know, and and they sometimes they get mad at you, why are you always having a good day, I don't know, so in general, your life will be blessed. You feel happy most of the time. You feel deeply happy. You're in a good mood all the time, even when stuff is going wrong. The county doesn't give your cafe a permit for 8 months for a small toilet. Then you're like, okay, okay. So, and also physically, you'll feel, as much as the human body allows, you will feel healthy and strong. And, body's in, a pretty good condition after 70 years. You will feel generally quite good most of the time. That's it's a side effect of bodhicitta. It's not the main goal, but it happens and it's noticeable. All right, so now you got 2 pictures. Don't forget what they are. And you can test yourself, and you can also use these images for your meditations each day. So when you go home from this class, take a long nap, unless you're staff, right? So then you have to work hard. Then take a nap during tomorrow's class. But take a long nap and then do some meditations, and do some light meditations. You could also, I write down the names of the images, and I go for an hour walk here at Diamond Mountain. It's a great place to walk. So just take it with you and say, what was that all about? The picture of the lady with the smile, and self-test yourself every day. and then it will stick. The teaching will stick. If you don't, it'll all be a blur and you won't remember anything by the end. Okay. All right. Third, fourth, third image. Really? Why do I have four here? You're protected. You feel joyful. Oh yeah, okay, I like this one. Stuff cannot hurt you. All right. You ready, Tim? We got sharks. Yeah, I like this picture. Uh, all the problems in your life are waiting down there, and you're just walking through them, and that's the third group of benefits. Selling points for bodhicitta is that yes, there will be problems around you. There will be wars and there will be viruses and there will be economic problems and just somehow it always just skips you. Okay, and you just float on. And that's kind of cool. You're always in the wrong place at the right time for problems. And they just kind of miss you. And your friends are having problems, and your other friends are having problems, and you feel kind of guilty that you don't have them, and you kind of wish someone would attack my country, and you just feel kind of. I feel sometimes guilty that I'm not having worse problems. But if you have this motivation, problems will just generally skip you. Okay, and stuff that have like I did get COVID finally, just before the last mixed nuts term, and I was desperate because I didn't have time to prepare 60 classes, which takes 240 hours to prepare, and I was desperate, and then I got COVID, and I was 3 blissful days in bed, and I was just. Veronica came in. She said, "What are you working on for 12 hours a day?" I'm like catching up with the mixed nuts. This COVID thing is so great, and it was just 3 very relaxing days in bed, and I had my computer on my chest, and I was, doing all these classics, and so even if you get a problem, it's not really a problem, and it just comes at the right time. Okay, so that's another benefit of this bodhicitta. Okay, problems happen around you. People are getting COVID. People are dying of COVID, and you're having a blissful 3 days in bed, preparing your next class. And nothing really goes really wrong in your life. Okay. Next picture. Yeah, I saw this picture. I thought this is good. You will accomplish all your goals. Okay, things you want to do will work out. Okay, and I think before you get bodhicitta, you try to do things, you try to do projects, and they don't quite work out, or things get stalled, they get delayed, things don't happen. And if you are able to get bodhicitta, then all the projects you're doing against all odds, they succeed. People show up to build the university in Kyoto, right? And pay for it, and just things happen. And projects that you start, goals that you have, personal goals that you have. It says here, Bepa Mepa Dun Topdang means you don't have to try that hard. Just things click and people show up. I gotta tell you a cute story. I can talk about that probably. This is called Dharma bragging, which I'm an expert at. So I was trying to raise money for 2 new translators for the mixed nuts. and it's expensive. These guys are expensive. They keep having babies, and so I had to raise some money for these translators. 2 new translators need salary. It's a lot of money, and I was like, God, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I just trust. And I was whining about 2 of my friends bought Teslas recently, right, Stanley and Seiji. And I was whining about they have this, God, you get in a car and you just like go like this and the car drives down the street really fast and everyone's like, woo, And I'm like, those 2 friends got these Teslas and I'm stuck with this old Toyota. And so one of the people listening to the broadcast sent me a message. And they said, I'll buy you any Tesla you want, tomorrow. And I'm like, then I researched what's the most expensive one, It's 157,000 or something. So I'm like, okay, I need that one, And this person is like, okay, you got it. And then I said, but my car works okay. You donate the money for these 2 salaries. Same money, same exact dollars, and they're like, okay. And so what I mean is stuff just works out. Stuff just keeps working out. And we got the salaries for the 2 translators. And even though another translator got pregnant last week, I don't know if I'm supposed to say who it was. You'll figure it out. He's going to need all the money he wins in my classes constantly. Okay. I hope he doesn't get mad at me. Yeah, so stuff you want to achieve will just happen. Okay. Cool stuff will happen. Projects that you trying to do, they will work out. Okay. And that's all the blessing of this motivation to help all the beings in the universe. Okay. So those are 3. How many did we have? In general, you will be protected and beloved. What's the picture? Yeah, the baby. Yeah. You will feel joy. That happy lady. Nothing can touch you. Yeah, the sharks. Like bad stuff can't touch you. Okay. Bad stuff happens around you, but it never quite affects you. And then fourthly, what? Yeah, you achieve the things you want. So you just have 4 pictures to remember this whole class. Okay, just remember 4 pictures. And when you're meditating, try to, your eyes are closed and you're like, what's the next picture he showed? What was the next picture? And the picture is a mnemonic to trigger the memory of these benefits of bodhicitta. Okay, so 4, right? 4 pictures, 4 main groups of benefits will happen to you. First one, protected and beloved. Second one, sleeping. What? Happy. Third one, sharks. Fourth one, yeah, just stuff happens. You get the Tesla money for translators. Okay. All right. Then after selling us on bodhicitta, they gave us they listed the ways to get bodhicitta. Okay. So they did a sales job. Oh, now I know all the SUVs in the universe. I spent like weeks meditating on all the SUVs in the universe. So they're like, okay, I want the RAV4 or the Subaru Forester. And then Okay, you got it? Clear what you want? Yeah. Okay, now how do you get it? That's the second big category. How do you get this bodhicitta that is so cool? Okay, that the salesman sold you on, the salesman Geshe-la sold you the bodhicitta. Generally two different methods of achieving bodhicitta, two different methods of getting it. Okay, and generally the first one is going to be Changchuk to Sem Jongwe Rimba. These are the steps to developing that breakthrough. Okay, the steps that you have to go through to have that breakthrough where you're jumping planet to planet, which is really sexy. Like it's worth a couple months of work to jump planet. I don't like this bodhicitta word that much. I just jumping from planet to planet, stopping off on each planet, checking in with everybody. Don't worry, I'm taking care of you. I'm on it. Then jump to the next planet. Okay, so and by the way, the more you study emptiness, the more you know that's possible. Okay, it's not some kind of exaggeration. If the pen is coming from you, then planet jumping is feasible. Then planet jumping is possible. Okay, so we're going to study the ways to actually get the bodhicitta. Okay, and then we're going to have a formal ceremony for committing to the commitments of a bodhisattva. Okay, so there's two huge sections. Number one, how do you learn planet jumping? And then number two, there's a beautiful ceremony for committing to that way of life. Okay, and generally when you teach how to be a bodhisattva, you cover it in those two steps. You talk about how to get the motivation, and then you plan some kind of grand ceremony. I remember in New York City when we started the ACI courses, we went through the vows for months, and then we kept talking with each other like, wow, let's have a really cool ceremony. We rented the you were there, Quaker Church. We rented the Quaker Church. We had the classes there. Finally, we had the ceremony. It was really fun. Then the Quaker Church came and said, "You can't come here anymore." And we're like, "Why? What did we do wrong? We cleaned up and everything." And they said, "Nah, it's that people in this neighborhood are starting to call this the Buddhist church. So you can't come anymore." It's really sad. Anyway, we had fun. So to have a grand ceremony at some point would be nice. Okay? And you can recommit if you already have those vows. You're allowed to retake them. You can't retake nuns' vows. You take them once. That's the end of it. You're stuck. But bodhisattva vows, you can keep refreshing them. Okay. All right. Yeah, and I have a picture here for you. And she's just thinking of something, okay? And sometimes bodhicitta is just called the thought. Okay, so I just want you to think about the whole practice of trying to get bodhicitta is in this picture. It's not an activity really, it's a thought. It's an intention. Okay, so when you see this picture, you're thinking, oh, bodhicitta, I would like to get bodhicitta. And she doesn't look different. She's not obviously acting differently. It's a change in your outlook. Okay, it's a change in it's a change in your intention for your life, and other people cannot really see it. It's just a way of looking Okay, and so that's what this picture is supposed to remind you of. Okay, this picture is supposed to remind you of bodhicitta is an outlook that kind of looks to the future. She looks like she's looking to the future a little bit, right? And she looks like she has some cool secret. But it's a perfect picture for bodhicitta. Okay. And there's two options. Next picture, Tim. If you want to get to bodhicitta, there's two classic paths. There's two classic methods. Okay. One is called the 7-step cause and effect method. Advice. Mengot. Okay. The 7-step cause and effect advice is classical method of reaching bodhicitta. Okay. And then the second classical method is, who can guess? Say again? Maybe. Oh, that's another one. Yeah, exchange equal. You can say exchanging self and others, but it's called equalizing and exchanging. Equaling and exchanging. English word for the first one. It means recognizing the equal rights of all living beings. Okay, it's the first half of the second method. The second method starts with recognizing the of all living beings. Okay, the belief that all living beings have equal rights. Okay, not just the black people, white people, not just women and men, not just one country and another. All living beings have equal rights. And then the second part of that is exchanging yourself and others, which is the famous part. Okay, and really that's always together, and it's always two parts. So people have called it exchanging self and others, but it's technically it's equal rights and then exchanging. And it always has those two parts, equal rights and then exchanging. And the exchanging self of others is not what it sounds like. That's a famous warning. Doesn't mean putting yourself in another person's shoes. It doesn't mean that. It has a deeper meaning, a deeper, depressing meaning, okay, which we study in DCI. All right. I got 2 minutes, right, Tim? 1 minute. You're too tough. Hey, I did it perfect. So we've been going through the 7-step cause and effect method. We've been working on that. And we're up to the last one. We did 6. We got 1 to go. What are the 6? You start with equanimity for everybody. Then you marche. Recognize that people have been your mother. Chin Chen. Remember all the nice things they did for you. Chin So. Try to repay. Jampa. Love. And then Ningje. Yeah. How many is that? Yeah. I said Tangyong. Sometimes they don't count equanimity. Okay. So they realize they've been your mother, Marche. Remember what they did for you. Want to pay them back. Love them, and want to protect them from suffering. You can count equanimity. And then we've reached number 7, okay, which is the result. That's why it's called a cause and result instruction. Okay, first 6 are cause. 7th one is bodhicitta. So we've actually reached the bodhicitta one. We did this. We did all those other steps, and now we've reached to the result, which is the final part of the first method. Okay, cool. And in the next class, we'll be going on to Pabon Rinpoche's description of bodhicitta. Okay, and then we do what after that? Breakfast. Now, then we'll go to the second method for bodhicitta, which is equal rights and exchanging. Equal rights and exchanging. Okay, good. Then we'll go to the second method. By the way, it is said traditionally that the second method is more powerful. They say if you could start with the first method and then add the second method, that's an unbeatable combination. Okay. The second method on top of the first method is the ultimate method. So it's good to have both. And the second one supercharges the first one. Cool. All right, we're going to take a 10-minute old man pee break. And we'll see you again, right, Tim, in 10 minutes? Okay, so please have a nice break and we'll see you then.